morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. I am the badass Buddha Lori Monaco, coming to you from Southern Connecticut, where it is a little gray today. Hopefully, it will clear up, although it does say it's partly sunny. Currently 29 degrees, but I think it's supposed to get pretty warm today, like I think close to 50s or something like that. Spring is here. I will say that it is just that you go outside and you hear the birds chirping. The spring sounds have appeared, and there is barely any remnants of the little snow that we had last week. And I am good with that. It was a nice little winter wonderland, and then bye-bye. Have a nice day. Came in like slut magic and came out like slut magic, as you would say. I thought about you.
I think it's we should be concerned with the change in the weather. I think
Oh,
winter.
I'm saying this nice thing, and then you got to be like,
No, but hello, Milagros. No, I get what you're saying. Living in Florida and having hot, like 360 days a year, I'm driving and everybody like loves it. I've met people here from my hometown and they're like, oh, I'll never go back. And they really do go back and visit. And then my husband, who was a Floridian, was always cold in this heat where I just want to die. But then you look at it, and as you're saying, how it's supposed to be in the 50s, and I'm like, that's not right. Like, people, places, and things blind us of what we are losing or what we're being stripped of right in front of us. And then, which goes right into the subject, is because we don't want to be cold, yet we live in a cold area. Or like me, I hate this heat, but I'm still here. And we'll go right in. Good morning, mi gente. We have a great topic today, and I'm glad that the badass Buddha brought up weather. Because it does. It's everything's been like red flag in my head, and I gotta go out and see color. But
well, I will say this because when you look at the bigger picture, of course, you are correct. How about the storms that have been just going through the south and the north, like massive snow above Connecticut, just like straight across. You're like straight across from west to east. And then this swath of tornadoes just coming up, and then there's like California, the amount of snow that they got in the mountains, people are trapped there. So it's really nuts. Like Connecticut is probably one of the few states that really hasn't had anything. Knock on wood.
yeah, so it is concerning. It is but we apply the same way that we look at everything. Hello, Jessie Melendez. And look at Chanel. She said, morning, authors. Well, morning, fellow author and book
Yes.
sharer. We Hola, mi gente. I am Margarita, your gladiator guru, coming from Tampa, Florida. Just saying how it's like what, 72 degrees high. But I say high 82, 83 today, and it's March. So yes, what could we do? Enjoy where we are at the moment and see where we're going from here. And today's everything we opened up with today, it always seems that everything we open up with falls into place.
Yes.
There's a quote that I read, and it's a funny, where it says, everybody wants to be a heathen until it's time to do heathen shit. And then they're like, oh no, I'm sorry, change my mind. And that's what we have to be, that superhero in our lives. It's like, if you're going to do so, if you're going to be.
Well, that doesn't apply to you, because you always talk about what a heathen you are.
Yeah, but see, I say heathen because that's people who have no courage, who have no ambition, people who are so afraid to dream because they're locked up in these little four corners of their world. They see people doing shit that actually make them smile or actually make changes in that person's life, but then they're labeled, right? So with all of that is we need to be that superhero in our life. And that superhero that shows up when another fellow superhero is building something or is tearing something down. And we could only do that when we're present for ourselves, seeing everything as it is, not how we expect it to be, which
Amen to
brings us
that.
into our mantra.
Good morning, Carmen Nieves.
Oh, Carmen's on. I didn't see that. Buenos días, Carmencita.
Carmencita. Every time you call her that, Carmencita, I think of this tea. Do you ever hear tea Carmencita? It's a tea that makes you go to the bathroom. It's a laxative tea. And
No.
I my sister was really into that tea when I was like in my teens. And one day she said to me, I had to go to work, and she's like, oh, just drink this, like I had never had a problem going to the bathroom. She's always had a problem. And she's like, oh, just try this tea. And I'm like, why? What is it? She's like, oh, just, go ahead. Just, it's good stuff. And I drank a cup, right? And I go to work, and man, I was like running to the bathroom the whole entire night. Like I was so pissed off at her. And when I got home, I'm like, oh my God, I like shit myself the whole 5 hours that I was at work. And she started laughing.
No, Carmencita. That's what we normally call people named Carmen, but I always sang a Gran Combo song to her, which was Carmencita, tú tienes un no sé qué, que me tiene pensando en yo no sé qué. That's it. It's a Gran Combo song for Carmencita. I'm sure she preferred the song than the shit tea.
Yeah, I agree. All right,
let's way you're memorable, Carmen.
Let's do our set our intention, we'll do our mantra, and then we will get busy and get to talking about accountability. This is my favorite topic, but I know Gladiator Guru and I really go to town when we talk about this. We get very fired up, we get very passionate about this, because this is the shit that will shift you. Say that 10 times fast. This is the shit that will shift you. When you own this, big fabulous things will happen and your world will open up. So with that, quickly too, I just want to mention that Her Badass Story 3 was released yesterday. We did hit the #1 spot, which was absolutely fabulous. We released the ebook yesterday for $2.99, and then we're releasing the paperback book on Monday for $4.99, which is like crazy. And we're going to reach out to everybody again to buy the paperback book. And listen, you can just purchase it to support all the authors. But if you want to keep it great, because it looks great when you have all 3 books there, because now there's 3 and they're all different colors. But, share it too. You could always purchase it as a gift, purchase more than one, they're very inspirational to people. In fact, if you know any shelter that likes to take books, or, buy like 5 of them. This is the cheapest price it will be. So you might as well, buy a bunch and then give them away to places that that women could be inspired. So the link is on there for the ebook, but we will post, it'll be the same link basically for the print book when it comes up on Monday, when it's available. So with that, let's do let's set our intention and do our mantra. So intention, very easy to be intentional. And that is straight from Carmencita. So be intentional. However, your intention, set your intention, whatever it is today. And
step in gratitude. Make every step you take be in full gratitude that you're able to take a damn step. Forget about what you're wearing going to work, just that you're able to put one foot in front of the other. I think that's the beginning of the day, that you open your eyes, that you took a breath to say thank you. And you got up out of bed without assistance.
Put one foot in front of the other. Remember that from that Christmas movie?
And people don't. That's the simplicity of life. People always want to go to the extremes. They don't want a no-name brand. They want to be broke late on their power bill, but they want to go buy a Gucci bag. And that's just, be grateful for the little things. It's always the little things that set your foundation to build bigger things.
All right. The mantra. Here we go. Say it loud, say it proud. I am a disruptor.
I am a disruptor.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am spiritually grounded.
I'm spiritually grounded.
I am magically orgasmic.
Ole.
And I keep it real.
All day, no doubt.
I have to be magically orgasmic. It's getting to that point where and I mean it in the literalist sense of magically orgasmic, because it's been a while and I'm missing it.
Listen, when people say, "How are you?" I tell them, I'm heading into my 6th year of menopause. So I have no estrogen, no testosterone, and no semen. I am like in a boat with no paddles. Just there. Just there. So magically orgasmic is, yeah. I need to call it back to me.
Don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe. Please, we want to really build up Viva this year. This is something that we've really been talking about. We've never really pushed it. We've never really done that before. And we were okay with that. And we're still okay with that. We love our tribe. We love all the people that show up all the time. We're so grateful for all of you. Milagros, Tiffany Bryan, Lydia Villanueva, who's Migdalia's here. Miggy's here. If it's okay that I call you that, because I know you do. Jesse's here, Chenille Real Deal. And if I missed anybody, I apologize. But we so appreciate all of you. But we also think that what we have to talk about is just so wonderful and for people to hear. And it's in such a different flavor than what you hear most of the time. So we rely on all of you to help spread the word. So we would love and appreciate it for you to like, share, follow, subscribe, go onto the YouTube channel, subscribe to it. And just pass the word. And if we don't have to have people live all the time, but if we get people to watch the show after the fact or just listen to it, that would be wonderful. So we want to thank you though for always being here for us. You've been here. This is our 4th season. You have been here. We're running on to the end of our 3rd full year, and we're getting ready to start our 4th year. So this is really pretty cool stuff. And we wouldn't have been able to do this without all of you. So thank you.
Absolutely. And just like what you were saying, look at what Miggy wrote. Morning, ladies. I just experienced the visualization that I needed to take accountability for my life this weekend, when I saw others do things that I've said I was going to start and never did. Absolutely. And that's being aware, accepting,
acknowledging,
and then holding yourself accountable to follow through. And remember, it's not a race. We said this earlier, Miggy, maybe it's all about timing, and it's specifically about God's timing. And we berate ourselves and we belittle ourselves, and then we quit on ourselves when we start something, or we want to start something, but someone else did it. It's not a rat race. Your fingerprint on your product is not going to smell, taste, or feel like their product, even though it may be the same concept. So hold yourself accountable to the dreams you have, and do not share your goals with people who have no vision. And if you want to test who is in your court, share a little bit of what you're going to do and read their expression. Don't listen to what they say. Study them. The art of imagination has gone all the way out the window. And I think a lot of that has to do with the schooling. Oh, get your head out of the clouds, come back to reality, be realistic, be logical, focus on what
be like everybody else.
So, Arlene and Darlene, buenos dias.
Good morning, ladies.
So you know what? You have to breathe and make time for yourself, because the art of imagination, I love to imagine. I have a wild imagination, me and my full personality. So you can imagine the facade. We have like this movie, this ongoing movie, different characters, different scenes, background scenery, different outfits. And that keeps me going. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I could do this. I tried that already. That's how I live. That's why I set my life according to my calendar, which is quarterly. And that's why I accomplish what I set out to do within the year, quarterly, whether I start that quarter or start and finish that quarter. So, what has happened to the encouragement of imagination within our children, within ourselves? Okay, that's when we're what we're going to talk about, that like totally obliterates imagination. So imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attraction. Because if you can imagine yourself there, you're halfway to the finish line of accomplishing your dreams and goals. But we have to instill that imagination. They threw imagination out the window the way they did cursive writing. Let's continue.
Good
That's
morning,
all.
Wanda. My friend Wanda's here. Wanda's in the house. I want to ask a question. We'll start our conversation while Migdalia answers. But Migdalia, when you came to that conclusion, how did it make you feel? Like, what were the emotions that came out? We really do need to honor the fact of what Migdalia said, because first off, it was very brave of her to actually write that and acknowledge it. But to look at that, she saw it, like Gladiator Guru was saying, she became aware of it, she acknowledged it, she accepted it, and then she took accountability for it. And it's that last piece, the accountability piece, that is the hardest piece to get over, because with that comes a lot of emotion. When you see people doing things that you had said you wanted to do, and then they're doing them, and you had said it, like, especially the older we get, you said it like 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and here they are doing it. Oftentimes we get very angry, we get jealous, we get envious, and it's a legit emotion. There's nothing wrong with feeling that, but when we have to really go deeper, we have to be accountable to the fact that that emotion oftentimes is just anger at ourselves because we didn't do it, and we're seeing it in front of us. It could also be sadness. It could be depression. You could feel low on yourself. Why me? Like, why did they get to do that and I did? I mean, there's all these things that come up, and it's okay to feel all that stuff, but it's just, you have to move past it. And that's what the conversation is today. This is perfect. That was a perfect segue, because Migdalia is talking about, she literally removed her blinders this weekend. She managed to move them out of the way and see what was right in front of her, and then pull it into herself. So that is absolutely huge. That's huge. So what we're going to talk about today is the crappy part of accountability, like the reason people don't want to be accountable. That's what we're going to talk about today. And on Thursday, we're going to talk about the power of being accountable. Like the in the end, when you move past that discomfort, what's sitting on the other side? What's on the other side of that door when you open that door? So today's going to be a conversation of discomfort. It's going to bring up a lot of stuff, and we're hoping that you are honest enough to, you don't have to type anything. You don't have to write in the comments, but maybe just sit, take notes, or just let yourself feel it, and be honest with yourself about, oh God, this is so true. That's exactly how I feel. And then we're going to talk about why people feel this way and how to move past it.
She said, not good ones. I felt sad and upset at myself. Good, because sometimes we need to recognize where the hell we're going wrong to light the firecrackers up our asses to get us where we need to be.
Look at this one.
Sometimes you are your own motivational push.
Oh, yes.
So sometimes you got to face the fact that you have been allowing life to pass you by, and there's nobody there to blame but yourself. See, now a lot of people don't like when I say that, because they don't want to take that accountability. Oh, well, it's not that. Well, this happened and this happened, this, and shit happens to us all the time. I haven't been able to sleep in the last couple of days, but I'm up and I'm popping.
Yeah.
Because why? Because I'm the only thing I have right now. So sometimes the timing of the universe, of Yahweh, is set for us to fall so we can rise stronger. So you released, you cried. Okay, now let's get to work. Do you have your notebook? You have your notebook because you bought my journal.
And how do you feel? So Migdalia also put, again, very brave of her to write this. We have to acknowledge that. So for everybody that's listening that can do so, type in, put just on, she's on YouTube, but we'll pop it up. Just say, good for you. Like good for you. She spent the day crying, releasing that shame. How did you feel after you released that? The next day when you woke up, did you feel lighter? Did you feel a little bit better after crying and feeling that way? Did you feel a little bit better? Because and if it didn't happen, that's okay. If it did happen, wonderful. But if it didn't happen, it sometimes takes a little time. And that's where I think we also get stuck, is we want to just release it and then be done with it the next day. But this could be years of built up layers. That's just one layer that comes off. That's just another layer that comes off. So we have to give ourselves space and grace. We have to forgive ourselves to say, I didn't take action. I didn't say what I wanted to say. So I'm taking accountability for that, which means that I can make the changes in my life. And it doesn't freaking matter how old I am, what year this is. It's just that I'm doing it now. Good morning, Tata.
Hola, Tata. Yeah, so, and that's all it is. You know what? We think we need outside influences to inject us with courage, to feed us strength, to light our path. But you know what? You are a spirit who dances with your soul, who nurtures all of you to come into your thought process. So you are the I am that you need. But we rely too much on everyone else, and that's what we're going to talk about. And you know what? Everybody needs encouraging words from somebody, an uplift, somebody to say, you know what, I saw you doing this, and you're going to say, oh my God, I've been thinking about it, but I've been spent on the back burner because I have this and this going on. So we need those people. I'm not saying we don't need anybody. What I'm saying that, you know what? Stop being afraid of the what if, the shoulda, coulda, woulda, because people are afraid of darkness. They are afraid to fall into a dark pit. But you know what? Growth comes from darkness. You plant a seed deep into the dirt and it flourishes. A tree comes out, rose bushes, food. It is in our darkest hour where we find the courage. So with saying that, follow your dreams, write it down. I always said I'm a writer, but I didn't keep a journal. But now it's like I've been writing this, that, who needs to leave my life, what date I'm giving them till, where I need to go to bring up people in, because I'm not playing anymore. Life is too short. There's uncertainty in the world, not in the United States, in the world. So what are we doing? We need to invite peace into ourselves, and we need to ride the wave of our dreams.
Yeah, we need
to discover who the hell we are, where we are right now, and where we plan on going. And that's what this is about. How do you get there? You get there by removing the shit you no longer need.
Yes. And if you had said something pretty poignant, you said that we don't need outside influences, but they are nice to have. You're right. There's nothing better than motivating, like somebody motivating you, pushing you, but inspiration, that's the difference. Motivation is short-lived. Inspiration is where you feel it in your soul. Somebody says something, does something, and you feel it in there. And then it has to transfer over to self-motivation, self-inspiration. You've got to be in awe of yourself. Like Gladiator Guru always uses that term, being in awe of yourself. Because it switches, because outside sources, if you're always seeking outside sources, you will be unpleasantly disappointed. You will be disappointed because they're not always going to be there. So
what happens? What happens when you rely on outside sources? Because that's a very important one. You become a victim. And it's everybody's fault but yourself. And then you're stuck there. And then you get angry with people who don't want to join you in the pits of hell that you created. And then it's everybody's fault. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's also very important to know. The more you rely on people, places, and things, the less you offer yourself and the bigger victim you become in your own mind. And then you expect people to accept that shit. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So no, don't. You're fine. I'm trying to find my other piece of paper. I thought I brought my other piece of paper here. I must have moved it. Just a second. We have to talk about. I guess I didn't. Jesus, thought I brought my other piece of paper. I had made this beautiful list of what we need to do, and I'm not being accountable to my list. So, all right. So here's the deal. I just wrote a couple of things, and then I'll say them because then I have to go out in a moment. I'm pissed off that I have to go into the other room and get the list, but because we came up with this really nice list yesterday, and I seem to have left it in the other room. Okay, so 7 truths about accountability that you need to know. Accountability starts with you. You are accountable. Accountability is not a one-time thing. Accountability applies to one and all. Accountability cannot be delegated. Accountability is the difference between success and failure. This is, more towards business, but really that's life, You have to hold people accountable as well. But you don't have the right to hold somebody accountable if you are not holding yourself accountable. So just keep that in mind, okay? 7 reasons people don't take accountability. This is from an article, but then I have this other one written down. I'm going to run out and grab it in a minute. 7 reasons why people don't take accountability. According to this writer, they're not clear about what they need to be accountable to. Okay. They don't feel they have the authority to be accountable. I don't agree with that one, I have to say. Maybe it's true. I don't know. They're scared. So fear, definitely. They're not confident. They don't care enough. That's a big one. There's a huge, vast amount of people that really just do not give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
They are all about them. They're entitled, and they do not feel that they need to hold themselves accountable, but they have the expectation that everybody else has to hold themselves accountable. They don't realize how important they are, and they don't see others modeling accountability. I hear that one a lot. Well, they're not doing it, so why should I?
That's still a weak mind.
Oh, totally. Let me go get my other piece of paper.
That is, I've never asked God why I had to go through everything I went through since the age of 6, but let me tell you, it was to teach me to do exactly what I'm doing. Because with society being what it is, with all birthing, I don't know if it was during 2020 or before 2020, but the birth of sensitivity is dumbfounding. Everybody is offended by everything. So guess what? Please don't be around me. Yesterday, I had to tell somebody that is your issue. That is, if you are defensive constantly, then you have some work to do on yourself. Do not tell me I'm hurting your feelings, because then guess what? You need to stay away from me, because this is going to happen, because you are you and I am me. So when you figure out why you're so defensive, when you figure out why everything is offending you and your feelings get hurt, but yet you are speaking to others the way you do, it's best that, you know what, you stay on that side, I stay on this side.
Well, it
is not my responsibility to coddle you. It is not my responsibility to walk on eggshells around you. I don't care if you're my sister.
That's
I hope they're on here. I don't care, and they can confirm that. You know why? Because I have enough to do with me, myself, and my 4 personalities. We are a handful. This is a wild bunch that I'm dealing with here. And none of us are sensitive. We're compassionate. We're empathetic. We're loving. We're in your face. We're rude. We might be too blunt for some. But the bottom line is that when you want to hold yourself accountable, you got to be aware of who the hell you are. Accountability isn't going to fall into your lap. You're not going to take a course. You're not going to listen to the Badass Buddha and I and be like, oh my God, I'm accountable now. Who are you?
I want to interrupt you for a second. Only because I'm going to be like walking out in about 3 minutes to go take my kids to the bus. And I wanted to give the list, and then you can go to town with this, because this was the list that we talked about. So this is the list. We came up with about 9 things So one, a couple of them might have already said in that other list, but this one I think is much more powerful because Gladiator Guru and I came up with it ourselves. So number one is don't want to look stupid. So people don't want to be accountable because they don't want to look stupid. They just don't think they are at fault. Number three is afraid of change. Number four, low self-worth. Number five, no self-trust. Number six, fear of retaliation. Number seven, not willing to admit certain things about self. Number eight, didn't know. But because this is what Gladiator Guru said, they say they didn't know, but it's because you didn't want to. So think about that. That one's really deep. And in the end, cowards. Like that's the other one. They're cowards. They can't be accountable because they're cowards. And that's what you see a lot with narcissistic type of people. They're cowards. They want their way. They expect everybody else to be accountable to them. And that's what you were dealing with that person, where it's like, you wounded me, but I could care less what I do to anybody else. And that is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Go ahead, Gladiator Guru.
No, and I say all this, and the badass Buddha, and I say all this, and we're not, listen, I know I can be too much. Women are important to me, okay? A woman is so powerful. We are the trendsetters. We are the breeders of life. Everybody's like, oh, I wish there was a portal to time travel or a portal. We are portals. We have brought life into this world. We are the most powerful beings in the universe. So we have to be aware of who we are. We have to just strip away of everything we have known and unlearn all of the traits that we have been taught, whether self-taught or by others. So the concept is challenging to unlearn what we've known. But let me tell you something. It is rewarding. I am a student of life. So every day I learn a little and I let go of stuff that I've learned, but no longer serves me, to make room for the new or for the correct. Okay, because sometimes when we learn something, like me, I lived on survival mode for most of my life. And so there was a lot of unraveling to do there, but there's some stuff that is still present in my new person of not survival anymore, but a fulfilling life. So you have to unlearning traditionally. We have to break habits. We have to break down what it is we are accustomed to, and then compare it to where you are today. You don't have to put a date when you learned it. And what is serving you? How does it serve you in your today? Because what happens? Miggy was very courageous to say what happened to her this weekend. Courageous. Yeah, she cried. It was hard. Okay. And she released it. It's not shame that you I don't think it should be said shame, Miggy. I think what it is disappointment, because you kept sleeping on yourself. And I love that you brought it all to you. You cried all day, releasing shame, but I think it was more disappointment because you delayed your birth and whatever project you were thinking of doing. But it's not a setback. It's a step up. You know why, Miggy? Because now those firecrackers are lit. And now you're going to give yourself a deadline to accomplish the first step of what you're trying to do. Do it in steps. Don't look at the whole thing and say, oh, I'm never going to finish it. Do it in steps. What do you need to do from now that you realize I can't sleep on myself anymore, to the first step, whether it's legalizing your business name, whether it's getting a web page, whether it's buying the merchandise, to start it up. It doesn't matter. But what's the next step from here? If you think it, ink it, believe it, you'll achieve it. So whatever your thoughts are, write it down and then break that down. Break that thought down into a goal and the goal into steps, and you can get it. That's how I have been doing. That's how the Badass Buddha does it. But with blinders on, we would not be able to see that. And if your blinders were still on, which means that you didn't participate in the awareness part, in the acknowledging part, in the acceptance, and now into the, where are we? I even forgot. My mind went. But listen, do the steps. Because if Mickey was not with us since we started the beginning of the year, she probably would have missed this and would have that self-awareness. That's where we're at, Maron. She wouldn't have said, I delayed in my own goal. I did not progress because I was afraid, because the blinders that you had on kept telling you it's not time. You're not going to succeed. Whatever they are, it's fear. It's fear. So you went through all of this with us. Thank you. We greatly appreciate everyone who has followed, because it takes a lot. And it's really exciting, but you haven't failed. You should not be disappointed that that you felt shameful on yourself. But don't be disappointment because someone else started what you were thinking about. You're not in a race with anybody but yourself, because life is short, but it is the longest journey you will travel. So travel it well. And if you have to start something and it don't work out, I don't care if you try 20 things and it didn't work out, and then on the 21st try you found exactly what you were born to do. That's not a failure. You didn't waste time on 20 things. You enjoyed and experienced 20 different things. You know it's not for you. You'll never waste another minute on it, but you enjoyed it while you were starting it, and then you decided it wasn't for you. See, people look at that as disappointment, waste of time. No. You went into it excited, believing. You all those feel good feelings, and then you're like, okay, this is not for me. And you went on to the next and the next, and you built your foundation all the way until it was time to you to succeed. That's not failure. That's not waste of time. That's you walking in God's grace. Because life is sweet and sour. But the blinders do keep us from accomplishing many things. One is because we're too afraid of what people, places, and things may say about us. We don't show up to things because we either feel we gained weight, our hair's this way, we cheat ourselves thinking about how are others going to perceive us. Honey, look in the mirror. That's the only acceptance you need, is that reflection saying, damn, I look good. El que le guste bien y si no también. Because you're not going to be for everybody. Not in the choices you make, not in the jobs you take, not in the clothes you wear, not in the stories you share. You will not be for everybody. But removing the blinders is you making a statement that regardless if you conquer or fail, you're always for yourself. You're always going to say, lesson learned or goal achieved, dream achieved. Next. And if you treat yourself as a student of life every single day, are you going to ace the test? And that test, you acing those CTs, SAT, whatever the hell, getting your master's degree, you have to start with an associate. You have to start with a high school diploma. That's how you lead your life in your businesses, in your relationship. You cannot get this without first achieving that. And that's how you slow your ass down into reality. You remove the blinders that have kept you hostage to fear. It has kept you hostage of living, of really walking out in the fields of hibiscus, my favorite flowers. Not hibiscus. My favorite flowers are, I can't even name it right now. Hold on. It's with a G. Uh-huh. And just walking through the and being able to use your five senses in life, seeing things for what they are, smelling. Is that smell going to attract you or is it going to make you walk away? Tasting life's bounty, feeling, just feeling the emotions, feeling the wind caress your cheeks, blow your hair, and actually touching and knowing, connecting with something through touch, through sight, through sound, through smell. That is something. Gardenia, Chanel Gerber. I hope you're not talking about baby food. It's gardenias, but thank you because I saw Gerber and I remember this gardenia. But remember, the blinders keeps us hostage. We place blinders on ourselves and then we blame everybody around us. You know what? I'm tired of people. I'm so tired of people because last weekend I put myself through such a turmoil thinking that somebody did something and then it took all weekend for me to have confirmation. And you know what? I sat back and I'm happy I allowed myself to feel that because, I don't allow myself to really feel anything. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. This happened for a reason. Or I can't do nothing about it. And that's it. I push forward. But I allowed myself to sit in it. I was angry. I was hurt. I was all kinds of feelings. So much so that I cried, right? Only to find out that my imagination of self-doubt, of doubting someone who all his only thought was to love me completely for who I am. And so then I dealt with that. I was like, oof, what a relief. Moved on. Because that's all I can do. Now I'm looking at it from the other side saying, okay, this is doable. And whether it works in my favor or not, I'm still going to do it. So what I'm saying is, it's going to take steps. So you have to unlearn all that behaviors that you absorbed while you have blinders on. But Badass Buddha, how can they first step start the process of removing blinders?
Well, we started it. That's what we started the first of this year. So it's being aware. Okay. You have to sit in that uncomfortable space. You have to be aware of what's right in front of you. Look at your situation. You look at your life. You look at whatever it is that's in front of you that you're not completely happy with. And then, because it's always easy for us to be accountable for the good stuff. So obviously we're talking about the crap. We're talking about the crappy stuff, the poop, the stuff that we've ignored. So first off, you have to absolutely become 100% aware of it. You have to acknowledge that it's there. You have to accept that it's there. And then you have to say, what role did I play? And the moment the feelings start to come up with, well, I play, because this is what happens with people that are notorious to have lack of accountability. They do one of two things. They'll either say, well, I could see where some of it might be my fault, but it's definitely not all of my fault. Or they'll say, yeah, this was my fault, but it's because blah, blah, blah. The moment you put a because in there, you have taken away your accountability. And then the other one is just like, well, it has nothing to do with me. All of that was them and not me. And it has nothing to do with me. So the moment you ask yourself, what role did I play? And if you start to get uncomfortable, if you start to want to resist it, if you start to say like, oh, I didn't, you always play a role. Let's put it, if you are in a relationship, if you are at work, your life, you play a role. This is the piece that you have to come to terms with. It's your life. You've played a role. You did not just sit there and do nothing and then say, well, it's everybody's fault. See, that's the rub. We think that's the case. That's a lie that we tell ourselves. Because here's the accountability. If everybody else made some really crappy decisions that affected you, and you say, well, that was their choice. They did this and it affected me. This is how it happened to me. You have to turn around and say, but I allowed it. That's the accountability piece. I allowed it. I allowed that to happen. It happened in front of me. And maybe it was not so noticeable, but you have to come to terms with that. So when you start to feel uncomfortable, when you start to feel like, oh God, this really blows, or you start to really down yourself, because let's say you've accepted the fact that you are okay with being accountable. All right, I'm going to go down and dirty with this. I'm just going to say that I'm accountable to this. Oh my God, I feel lousy about myself. I feel embarrassed. Like Migdalia was talking about, you feel guilty. You feel ashamed. You start really just beating yourself up. Then another awareness piece has to come in. You have to say, okay, I'm aware that I'm beating myself up. I'm aware I'm feeling this way, and I have got to forgive myself. I've got to give myself grace and space because this is not helpful. So I'm taking accountability for the fact that what I'm doing to myself is not helpful in this situation, because you cannot go back in time and change things. You can't. I mean, if you can figure it out how, just let us know, because I'm sure there's a lot of shit we would love to do. But the reality is you can't. You can't go back in time. That's why you have to stay present in the moment and say, okay, what did I learn from this? And how am I going to move forward? But we're going to get to more detail about that on Thursday. The stuff you have to really be honest with yourself right now is, what limited accountability did I assign myself for these last 40, 50, 60, whatever years you've been on this planet? With the exception of maybe the first 5 years of our lives, maybe we could be a little bit more 10 years of our lives, there was a mixed accountability because we're children. We don't know, we're learning. There's people that we rely on, and we have an expectation that these individuals will guide us properly. But after a certain point in time, especially teens, we are making choices, and we're either making good choices or bad choices or really effed up choices, but there are choices. They could be influenced by other people, but there are choices. So you have to ask yourself, where in that list am I feeling any of that stuff? Am I feeling like, God, if I'm accountable, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look like, I don't want to admit that I did this wrong, because then it's going to make me look stupid. People are going to say stuff, and I'm just going to let it sit. The courage comes in when you can go above and beyond that and say, I don't care if I'm going to look stupid. I'm just going to say what I need to say from it. This is for me. It has nothing to do with them.
No.
And they'll get past that stuff. If you have people in your life that constantly remind you of the stuff that you screwed up on, you need to get a new set of people.
You need to stop them. You need to say, you know what? I don't need to hear this. And
correct.
Do you have no excitement in your life that I'm your main priority?
Yes.
You know why? Yes. Because not one damn drop of your self-worth depends on anyone's acceptance of you. When you cannot, like, say, when somebody, stop them. You know what? Fuck off if you have to tell them that. Because there's too many people trying to sew your outfit, and then you get mad, but you're allowing them because you don't want to offend them. Then guess what? Don't come complaining to me. I'm sorry I sound so harsh, but I deal with so many people who will sit there and give a list of how great they are, and I'm looking at them like, you were just pinching dementia patients. Are you fucking kidding me? What I'm saying is, you know what? Stop lying to yourself. The minute you stop lying to yourself and stop telling a warped story of what you allowed for so long, change the narrative already. It's your story. It is your life. No one can live it for you. You know what you can do. You know what you're capable of doing. We all have talents. We are all creative people. And then we can pursue a life of self-assurance, of self-trust, when we believe that we were born with the purpose, for something bigger than the bullshit. And when you really go out into the world and you can say, I'm going to do this, and you're not hindering or harming your loved ones or anyone around you, do it. There's a quote, I don't remember it verbatim, but it says, a good woman or a normal woman never makes history, or something. A well-behaved woman never makes history, or something like that. I have always been an embarrassment to my kids when they were little, but that's okay. They got over it because I wasn't changing, not for them then and not for them now. Now my grandkids, they love it. And when my kids start talking, they share stories of the past. They're like, Like my daughter-in-law said, when she first started with my son, she was talking about something. She goes, yeah, because your son told me you're the queen of pop-up. Best believe, if I feel like you lied to me, I'm rolling up, whether I'm in my pajamas or looking like I just came from a fashion show. Queen of pop-up. That's what they'll say now, but they hated it then. But if you stay true to who you are, you're going to lose some, you're going to win some. You're going to be accepted for who you are. And then you blossom into that beautiful garden that you were born to be, because you're not allowing people, places, and things to poke hole in you. Are you fucking Swiss cheese? No. So the effective unlearning is A, identify what needs to change. B, determine the scale of the challenge that you are about to face with yourself. Roll up your sleeves, honey. You're going to battle. Keep tabs on your progress. And be honest. Be honest. Stop lying to yourself. And D, write out the bumps. Put that cushion under your tushy and say, okay, this is going to be a bumpy road until we hit the pavement. But it's all up to you. And like the badass Buddha says, awareness, acknowledgement, acceptance. Where are we now?
Accountability.
Accountability. It's all you. It's your game. It's a solo sport, because you're going to have people go to the left who don't like the new you, and you're going to have people on the right that are going to support you stepping outside and away from your blinders. And you're going to love them both because they both played a major role in your life. But it's only about you. Removing the blinders is you saying, I'm aware that I am rare, and I vote for me. And do it.
Do you know how brave it is to remove your blinders? Like, seriously, when I had to face the reality that was my world 7 years ago, I felt like a complete asshole. I felt like I was humiliated. I was angry. I was sad. That is why I came so close to killing myself. I mean, it was just too much. There was too much, because it wasn't just something that I found out that had been going on for a few months. It's something that was going on for fucking 14 years. And when you look at that and go, how stupid was I? Like, how blind was I? You start to really beat yourself up, because, this is an individual that you trusted 100%, as you should. You're married to them. And then for them to play you for that long. And there were people that came out during my transformation. Like, once I got out, I was pulling myself out of the depression. There were people that made stupid comments, like, how stupid could you have been? Like, how did you not? And they added to that. They added to that self-esteem challenge that I was having. And I had to get past that. What I had to be accountable to was the fact that I had my blinders on, and that I did not want to see what was right in front of me. Because once I pulled myself out and started looking at things from an objective perspective, that's when the red flags were all popping up. That's when I started to see things that I had, like, even from the beginning of the relationship, that were really obvious to me now, but they weren't then, because I didn't want to believe that. I wanted this relationship to work because my first one was riddled with infidelity. So this one had to be the right one, because I couldn't possibly do that again. And I deserved to be with somebody that was not a liar and was not a cheater. So I had to take accountability for the role that I played. When I look back and looked at all the relationships that I had been in, they all had very similar pieces. In fact, not very, like almost identical, like almost every element of them, whether it was a significant other, a friendship, a boss, an acquaintance, they all had this very similar quality. And I stopped and said, oh my God, well, who's the common denominator here? It's me. And I got to tell you, that was not, when I started to come to certain realizations, you bet your damn self that I wanted to deny it and say, no, I'm not taking responsibility for that. I'm a nice person. I'm a kind person. I'm a good friend. I'm this, I'm that. That's not me. But then I had to look at it and say, okay, if I'm going to fix myself here, I got to take ownership of all of it. And I had to start admitting things to myself. There were certain people I had to admit things to. I had to apologize to. It's almost like the 12-step program, really, like when you're talking about people who go to AA. It's that one step where they have to take accountability for their actions. And it's hard. It's really, really hard to do it because there will always be people that are assholes about it. They're always going to come up to you and go, yeah, well, and it opens up a door for you basically, when you go up and you say, I need to be accountable to this behavior that I had, or whatever you want to say, it gives them permission that they believe to just go to town on you, because wounded people wound people. So and it takes a much braver person to sit back and just take it. And then you have to say to yourself, that's not really about me 100%. It was with the piece that I contributed, but deep down, because people who move forward and evolve, when you go back and say, I need to really acknowledge something that I did in the past and I'm really sorry for it, and it's just I don't want to be that person, and I want to be I'm a different person now. The people who've also evolved will sit there and say, you know what? Thank you for saying that. I appreciate you apologizing. And you need to know that I have moved on. But I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. Doesn't really happen that often, so you have to be brave enough to get nothing sometimes, get nothing back. You reach out to somebody, or you say something, or you show people that you're being accountable for the things that you've done in your past, and you're fixing and being the new person you are. And some people will give you nothing back. So don't wait for the return. You just have to know who you are. And that was the big take for me. It was acknowledging the person that I was, the person that I am now, and then the person who I wanted to be, taking accountability for the person that I was and the person that I am now, and then saying, am I good with this? Am I okay with this? Yes, for certain things, no for others. Then making the change. The accountability allowed me to make the change. And when I would have people come up in the past and throw that stuff to me, like, oh, I remember when you used to do this. Yep. Yeah, that was me. I'm not triggered by it. I know how much Gladiator Guru loves that word, but because I'm not ashamed of it anymore. That's the beauty of accountability. I'm not ashamed of the bad choices that I have made in my life. When people, like I said, wounded people will wound you. They will throw stuff into your face and they'll make it look like a joke. They'll go, oh, remember when you used to be like this? And oh, it was awful. Like you were just so blah, blah, blah. And they keep going with it. And you're like, yep, that was the past. I'm not that person anymore. And when you realize, when they realize there's no fuel there for them to like keep going, like they're not getting you upset. And even if they are getting you a little upset, you just stay calm. That's it. You just stay calm.
You just smile. Let me tell you something. First, I want to ask you, it'll be quick. Good morning, Lydia. Where do you think you would be today had you not suffered those 2 marriages? Would you be able to speak to women the way you're speaking now?
No, not at all.
So do you look back now and say, that had to happen? I really wasn't the weak person. I was battling beautifully in unknown territory to create the voice that I needed to be the awesome, badass Buddha I am today.
Yes.
And that's what we got to remember. Listen, shit's going to happen.
Shit happened already. Shit happened already.
It's going to happen. But let me tell you something. It's not what's happening to you. It's how you're receiving it and how you're distributing it. Because we all have a story to tell. Some of us more than others. I'm not here to say, well, mine was worse, but there was more blood on mine. We all have a story to tell.
Yes.
And the way we lived it is how it affected us.
Yes.
I used to just be like, oh, no, dismissing when people say, wow, you've been through a lot. It's whatever, because I never really harped on it. But now I'm saying no. See, God's grace has led me to be who I am today. I have no apologies. Do I need to curse a little less? Most likely, probably. Bye, prima. But let me tell you, since the age of 6, I have learned how to defend, protect myself. I've learned how to let myself down Instead of victimizing myself, I abused it with food and with feeding and all of this kind of stuff, and then weight up and down, and then being raped and doing this and doing that. But I've never been a victim of any of my circumstances. I have always said, okay, what are we going to do next? So, when people say, wow, you say that with no emotion, you tell your story. You know why? Because I have always been bigger than what people have done for me. When we wait and want and need and have all that belief system enclosure, all we're doing is using it as a clutch to lean on past travesties so that we can say, oh, no, nobody owes you anything. Forgive them and move on.
You only owe yourself.
You are the gatekeeper. You hold the key to lock and unlock all the doors in your life that you need to walk through or to seal off. So somebody wronged you, don't expect. The expectations are going to fuck you up every single time you're expecting something from somebody. Whether it's your child, your man, or your mother. What you got to do is say, I'm going to forgive them. And I learned forgiveness, and it was very liberating. Might not be for everybody, but for me, it was very liberating. But nobody owes you forgiveness. Nobody got to say thank you. Nobody got to say you're welcome. When you hold the door open, you chose to do it. Don't expect a thank you. People are getting stabbed over that nowadays. Somebody hurt you. They don't even think about you anymore. But yet you're holding on to them. You're taking up space in this beautiful temple that you have for somebody who came and went. So when we learn how to inquire within and accept who we are and accept our pain and then try to set it free, we're always going to live in a fog or like, oh, the woe is me. You know what? Release. That's how you take your blinders off. See things for what they are and release, forgive, and let go. Because you are that priceless diamond that you're seeking outside of. Khalil Gibran wrote, and then we'll end it. Because Dory, I loved when you said that. I always love when you share about killing yourself. I mean, it breaks my heart. But I love it because it shows the courage. It shows the strength. And it shows the power behind you pushing those words out. And we need to inspire one another towards empowerment, because inspire is like the sparkles, they go out. But if you inspire to empower your fellow woman, then guess what? That's the seed you're planting. So plant seeds so that everybody's garden is growing accordingly. And that's how we live. Because Khalil Gibran says that whether it's your soulmate, sister, friend, lover, husband, a soulmate, remember, it's not a partner, sexual partner, it could be anybody. But, you gotta be like the pillars of the temple, together yet apart. Let there be spaces between us, even as women, honing in on what gifts we have and supporting one another. We still need space in between us, because that is healthy growth. So be the pillars of the temple, together yet apart, and grow healthy. Remove your blinders. Be aware of what you're doing, how you're living your life, and hold yourself accountable to the things that aren't working for you, because nobody owes you a damn thing.
That's right.
Be your best supporter. That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, fabulous. So again, accountability month, this is an important month. This is actually a really, really important
This is International Women's Month. Hello, put your big girl panties on, look in the mirror, and tell yourself you're the best thing that has happened to you today, and nothing that fits you any longer. Stop organizing, eliminate people, places, and things starting today.
Fabulous. All right. So Thursday, we're going to be Thursday's show is hello, nice to meet you. We're going to be talking about the power of being accountable to self. So we're transitioning into that and what you could look forward to in that state of just embracing accountability for self. So stay tuned for that. And then for the rest of the month, we're just going to keep going and building up on that, so that when we take over the second term, and we start April, you are going to be prime ready to understand why we do the things that we do. Because we're going to be talking about belief, we're going to be talking about habits, we're going to be talking about behaviors, and then we're going to start to transition into taking action. So thank you all for being here today.
I'm sorry, baby. I said we're going to talk about all things you, me, individually. It's going to be fantastic.
Yes. All right. So thank you for being here today. We'll see you on Thursday. And from the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And from the Gladiator Guru, mi gente, remember to breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.